Hi, all. My name is Bryanna. I will be doing the partnering tutorial for RESI Europe 2020 for you today. This tutorial can be used for any partnering platform. Our partnering platform stays the same from conference to conference, just the attendee list differs. RESI is an investment conference, but it's also a partnering conference, so it's very important to follow instructions that we give you on the partnering and to put effort into it. So I'm going to go through partnering and then we'll go over strategy and some tips and tricks at the end. So I'm going to get this out of the way. So there's two types of registration. There's a standard registration and a premier registration. The difference between the standard and the premier is really just that with the premier registration, you'll get the email addresses of all the investors without having to first contact them. So even with standard, you can contact all of the investors that are attending, send them a message, and then if you get that meeting with them, you'll obviously exchange more personal contact info there. Whereas the premier, for every delegate attending from the firm, will actually give you their personal email address. So that's a common question a lot of people ask. So I will show you how to get back and forth as well at the end from your standard to your premier account and then back for those of you who have premier. So first things first, once you're logged in, you should see the banner for the given conference at the top. So the first thing you want to do is edit your profile. It's important to spend a lot of time on this, filling out every section as thoroughly as possible. But really everything you're going to be using for the partnering, you'll find in this black bar right here at the top. So to go to your company profile, you just click Account. So if you scroll down, you can see you have a company profile, and then if you have multiple people from your company attending, you can actually see them here, and you'll have a little personal bio to fill out. So if you click Edit, this is what it will look like. So every person that's attending the conference will fall into three of our categories. So you're either a startup, a fundraising company, or a service provider like a law firm, or an investor. So I'm in here as a service provider. Life Science Nation is a service provider. We provide services to companies like yourself. So I'm going to have different sections. And if you're a fundraising company, you'll have a lot more sections than me. But just to show you, you will have these sector and subsector sections to fill out. You want to make sure you're checking the correct ones and you're actually going through and checking them, because when investors go through and they're looking for companies, they're typically looking for a certain type of company. So if they wanted to find a therapeutic for cardiovascular disease, you would not show up unless you, again, selected these boxes. So make sure you're selecting the correct filters. If you ever have questions about where you would fit, you can reach out to us and we'll help you select the right filters. Also, for any fundraising company, you're going to have a bunch of different free text sections like major landmarks, strategic partners, things like that. Make sure you're filling those out. It is a little bit time consuming, but most of that information you can actually just pull from like your pitch deck or executive summary. You'll also, under this company profile section, have the option to attach a pitch deck or executive summary, which I will recommend. Sometimes the investors forget they are on here and they will reach out to you again to collect them. But definitely, if you have a pitch deck or executive summary, you can upload that here. Okay, so quickly to go back up to the top, you can add a logo. So it's a matter of preference. You can add your company logo here, and then quickly go to your name, and this is your personal bio. So you can change your password here at any time, or your title, or anything like that. And then you can also upload a personal bio. You do have the option to attach an image if you prefer, and then you can do that here. Okay, so that is your company profile and your personal profile. Again, make sure you spend time filling that out. After that, you can actually begin sending meeting requests out and scheduling your meetings. So you want to jump to the left and click search. And then every, again, startup, service provider, investor will show up here. Here's the different groups. So this biotech/medtech diagnostic group, this is like the fundraising startup group. So if you wanted to see any competition or the other companies that are attending, you can click that. But I'm going to fill this out according to a fundraising CEO looking for an investor. So groups, you want to be looking for investors. So make sure you click investors. And then everything below that group section, you want to fill out actually according to your particular product or technology. So a few things I always recommend when you're beginning your search or your outreach, start pretty broad. Since you can only select one at a time, I wouldn't recommend initially just clicking a particular investor type. What I would recommend always having on is sector, and then product development phase. So you can see here there's two different product development phases. You're only going to fill out one. So you're going to fill out the one according to the sector that you filled out above. So biotech, if you're a drug, medtech or diagnostic, you want to fill out the phase of development here. You can also turn on indication if your product is for a particular indication. And then if it is for multiple, I would leave this off. There's also subsector according to, again, the major sector that you filled out. But for your initial search, just have sector turned on, and then product development phase. And then at the top, it will show you the number of investors, so you can begin sending meeting requests. Just quickly, a lot of people ask, how do I know which investors are new or which investors are recently added? Investors will sign up through the day of the conference. So one way to do that, this will automatically be default to order alphabetically. You just want to switch it to order by date approved if it's your second or third or fourth or fifth time logging in. And then all of the newest investors that were just recently added or just recently signed up will show up at the top. But if it's, again, your first time logging in, you don't have to worry about that just yet. A few things. So this is what a profile looks like. So the firms, and then you'll get more. So make sure to click this little V next to the firm name so you can actually see their whole profile. Again, all this information we've collected by actually interviewing them over the phone or in person. So this is specifically the type of company they're interested in. So right here, they have one person coming. Some of these firms are allowed to send up to 4 people so they can get the maximum amount of meetings throughout the day. Say they sent 2 people, a common question I get is, how do I know which person to send it to? So if you really, really want that meeting, it doesn't hurt to send the meeting request to both, right? They should be kind of confiding in each other so that they're either taking that meeting together or their meetings aren't overlapping. But again, to just increase your chances, you can send it to all of the people attending from the firm, but it's just a matter of preference. So again, there's only one person attending under Double Rock. And then you have 3 options here. So quickly, bookmark is just a bookmark. It's a note to yourself. So you can say like read, or just a note to yourself that you've read through their mandate, and then you can save it. So it will show up underneath their profile. They won't see this. This is just a bookmark for yourself. So technically, you have 2 options to communicate with them. It's very important, your initial contact with anyone you want to book a meeting with, you want to click book a meeting. The difference between book a meeting and send a message is that booking a meeting, by clicking this, you're encouraging action. So I'm going to click it because it's not automatically going to book a meeting because the other party does have to accept. But when you click book a meeting, it's actually going to prompt you to send a message anyway. Whereas with this option, booking a meeting, when they get your message or your meeting request, after reading what you said, if they actually want to meet with you, they can just accept. Whereas if you just sent them a message, a lot of times people get confused. So the RESI partnering is like a smart partnering system. So you're not supposed to worry about the logistics or suggest time slots. You're supposed to just send them a meeting request, why you're meeting with them, what you're doing, and then the partnering, as soon as the other party accepts or both parties accept, it will just pick the earliest time you both have available on your schedule and tell you to go to a table number. And I'll talk about that more after. So again, we're under book a meeting. You always want to send a message with your meeting request. If you're a fundraising company, this is a very important message. It should be concise, no more than 2 paragraphs. Don't copy and paste your whole executive summary. And then you should introduce yourself, introduce your product, why it solves an unmet need, where it stands amongst competition, how much you're looking to raise, what you're going to use that particular raise for, and then why, I guess, you'd be a good fit to work with each other. So we do have a template, the RESI team, from an actual message that a company sends to their investors or has sent to their investors at a conference, and they always do pretty well. So if you want to see that template, we can definitely send it to you. Just email resi@lifesciencenation.com and we're happy to help. But again, don't just send a meeting request, make sure you're sending a message along with it. So I'm just going to click back quickly. Okay, so we sent a meeting request with a message. So why is this here? Why is the send a message option here? I recommend that you use this to send follow-up messages. We've done a lot of research. The people that send first of all, the most number of meeting requests, but also follow up on all unanswered meeting requests, you will get the most meetings. So say if someone doesn't answer within a week, really depends on how close to the conference we are, send them a follow-up message. You're not being annoying. You can send the same message, or you can say, hi, I sent you a meeting request. I'd really like to meet with you. Again, it's really important that you're following up on every single meeting request that they didn't respond to, right? Because until you hear no, it doesn't mean no. The investors receive no shortage of meeting requests, so sending them a reminder kind of will float your message back to the top of their inbox. As far as numbers, you should be sending at least 40 meeting requests out. I know it seems like a lot of work, but it's worth it, right? Because you're vetting all these investors beforehand. So if you get 6 to 10 meetings, that's awesome. So send upwards of 40 meeting requests, and then you must follow up on every one of them with the send a message option. Okay, so again, don't forget to open up the profile all the way. And that's how you should go about the partnering. Let's go back up to the top, this black bar again. I'm going to show you what your schedule looks like. So click schedule. So these are your meeting slots. You have 16 half-an-hour meeting slots. There's no formal partnering meetings during lunch. This is a great way to fit in an extra hour of meetings. You can just suggest via a message that they meet with you at the partnering booth or any landmark at the conference, especially when investor schedules start to fill up. This is a good way to squeeze in a few meetings because there will be no formal meetings going on. Again, this is your schedule. This is a way to check any of your confirmed meetings. So if you're confused, you sent a meeting request, you don't know if they accepted. If they accepted, it will show up on here. So again, it just picks the earliest time you have available, and it will say you're meeting with 6 Dimensions Capital, go to table number 44. So it just randomly assigns you to a table number. Please don't suggest, let's meet at 1, let's meet at 2. If you can only meet at certain times, what you want to do is just click available to mark your self as unavailable. This way the partnering won't schedule a meeting for you at that time. And then to make yourself available, again, you want to just click that. So when you start sending some outbound meeting requests and start getting some, for some reason they'll show up at, right under your schedule as well. So if there's any pending meetings, you can find them below. So we don't have an app as well, but you can get onto this website pretty easily from your phone. You can print this out. I do recommend checking your schedule even the day of. Sometimes things will change. People will use the partnering on the day of. We'll have like a booth set up so we can check your schedule for you and print that out. Also keep in mind, so this whole partnering platform is to schedule meetings for the day of. It will actually stay open for a month after the conference. So even though you can't schedule meetings at our venue, you can still communicate with them via the platform even after the conference is over. So you can still message them. All of these accounts are hooked up to people's personal email addresses. So I'd recommend going through, say if someone wasn't able to attend, that you continue to reach out to them on here until you get their email address. Okay, so we're on schedule. If you go to the left and click messages, so this will show you any inbound or outbound communication at all. So any messages or any meeting requests will show up here. And then if you go further to the left and click sessions, so again, we will have content going on throughout the day. There's usually 3 or 4 tracks, so 3 or 4 rooms, and the content changes every 50 minutes. You can actually see the schedule, the agenda, what it's about. And then you can actually add it to your schedule. So again, that the partnering doesn't schedule a meeting for you at that time. Please keep in mind, you can't add more than 1 workshop at one time slot to your schedule. And also be aware that the workshops are an hour long. So it will take an hour of your partnering schedule if you add it to your schedule. You don't have to register before. It's kind of just a reminder to yourself. All the workshops you can just walk into, but if you were really keen on going to a particular one, you can always add it to your schedule. So that's the partnering. Again, it's very important to spend time filling out your profile, make sure your outbound message is good, make sure you're sending enough meeting requests, and then following up on all the ones that go unanswered. As far as a fundraising CEO looking to meet with investors, it's important that you kind of put a lot of effort into it because, again, the investors get no shortages of meeting requests from companies. So it's important to make sure you give them all the information that they need. And yeah, so that's the RESI partnering. If anyone is having trouble or feels like they need more meetings, you can always schedule a call with your representative from RESI, and we're happy to help.